So, Sal, what do you think about the vigilante name known as Bandana Man?
Bandana Man?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we got the Arrow, which honestly sounds fucking stupid.
Oh, I always like the arrow though. I mean, it's very simple though. I will say that.
I know, but
But,
like, there's something about Green Arrow that makes it better from the Arrow.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, no future spoilers here, but thankfully they rectified that. Not terribly far away, but not they're gonna fix it soon. But but what do you think about the Bandana Man? Not the Bandana Man, but just Bandana Man.
Uh, I feel like no, that would never work. I mean, because I feel like imagine like I don't know. Because to me that guy would I I'm really not sure. Because for me, it just doesn't work because it doesn't sound serious enough. Like a vigilante is like, for what you're getting from Oliver is that he's like super serious about it. I mean, some people like when they talk about vigilantism is just like sometimes like you could think like a bandana man, but for this show specifically, I feel like Oliver Queen is like he's like a serious. He's serious. He has like a mission in mind. Whereas, like Bandana Man, like a regular vigilante, would just kind of be fighting whatever, like no plan, really no plan. But Oliver's got like a he's got like a whole list of people, but also he grows into being a hero past that list once he learns about more about his past.
So basically, you're telling me Bandana Man's a horrible name.
Yep, basically,
Go fuck
not
yourself, man.
very good.
God damn you, Sal. You can't support me on anything. Like, literally, we were doing our research for this review series, and you were telling me, oh, we should come up with our own vigilante names. And I pitch you mine, and you say it sucks. Fucking
Are you
sucks.
saying you're a vigilante?
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm not fit to be a vigilante. Do you really think a man who loves his sleep is going to be going outside in the middle of the night for like 7 hours every
You're
day
the
for the rest of
you're
his
the
life?
East Coast vigilante, Joe. That's you. Admit it.
No, no, no. I'm not. I am not a vigilante at all. But you know who is a vigilante? Sal.
Oliver Queen.
Yes, because if you're unaware, this is what's on the tube, where right now you are watching our Arrow season 2 review. Still got to work on that intro, but anyway, yeah, we're continuing our every Arrow season reviewed here on what's on the tube. We are switching to a more work at home because not because Sal's not me and Sal not like okay, well, yes, we are concerned for our health. It's just that me and Sal found it very difficult to plan out another in-person recording session because the last one we recorded was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We're just busy. Our schedules never align, and Sal just got to change at his job, so that means his hours don't align with mine hours. So, for the foreseeable future, this could still change because we still got 7 more reviews to do. We could still always film on the normal stage, but for the time being, we are switching to a more digital version of it. So anyway, so how have you been since Arrow season 1 now going to season 2?
I've been pretty good. I've been doing a lot of updating on my podcast.
Pimp that
I've
out
been
quickly.
trying to gather ideas for a new show. I'm writing more articles. I have to write one. Probably tomorrow morning I'll get up and write it. But other than that, I finished. So here's the thing: when you were done with season two, I was only like halfway through it, and then I just blitzed right through it, and I really I really enjoyed it, like especially as the season went along, how great like I almost forgot how great like the flashbacks are. Because when I watched Arrow a long time ago, I forgot like I almost forgot about the flashbacks, but then like they just get so good in season two,
Yeah, you're right.
and then it shows a lot of parallels to what Oliver does then and
To
what
the
Oliver
current
does now.
in the
Yeah,
yeah, I think personally, barring we still have 6 more seasons to watch. I think this is probably the best season where they make the flashback storyline work so freaking well with the present storyline. It just works. It works out too perfectly. And it could be just as a result of like, yeah, they knew well ahead of time that yeah, we were going to go in a certain direction with season 2, so they planned out the flashbacks way ahead of schedule. Like for me personally, again, we haven't gotten to season 3 yet or like rewatched the other seasons, but at least for me, like the flashbacks are very much this season the highest they've been so far.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people like to say that season one is, probably the best season of Arrow, and I mean, I wouldn't entirely disagree, but also like this season, I don't think people give it enough credit. I thought it was, first of all, I think Slade Wilson is, now that I've already seen like the whole, I've seen the whole show already, but Slade Wilson is the best big bad in Arrow for me, just because like of how he's tied to Oliver's backstory, and then here comes this guy again. I have to wonder how he survived though. Like, obviously, what happens in season two at the end of their fight in the flashback.
I From what I remember, again, no future spoilers. I don't think they ever even talked about that, like in his, because before we get into, but before we are in the non-spoiler section right now, we will segue to the proper channels in a bit. But I don't think they ever show they don't show what happened to him, like in between, like how does he get from the end of season two's flashbacks to the beginning of season two's present day story. Like, they never show it. Like they just
Yeah,
skipped over those 5 years for him. So you could just assume that he did something. He got rich, famous, and famous enough that Oliver Queen would have noticed, like, oh, he's still alive. Because for some reason, when I was watching season two, I was like noticing, like, oh, everyone knows Slade Wilson's name. I was like, then why didn't anyone fucking talk about him during season one?
yeah.
You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
well, because that's the thing. I think Oliver assumed that Slade Wilson was dead, so there was no reason for Oliver to believe that there was any threat.
From
And then
him, at least.
obviously, yeah, for him and eventually for his entire family. But that, he didn't believe that he could bring the threat of Slade Wilson to Starling City, which he ended up doing anyways. But, through no fault of his own, he obviously thought Slade was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, not. One of my favorite, really one of my more favorite shots is when, you know, Oliver and Slade see each other again, and Oliver's gotta like act friendly in front of his mother, but
Oh, no.
still, like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, oh god, I remember that. I remember that moment. In I think it was it before or I think it was after the midseason, right? So we were in the second half, I think,
yeah.
because they really
So,
padded that out. Like they really. But before we get to that, sorry to interrupt your amazing train of thought. The one question we have to start off this review with, um, for you, by the way, just to finish out my opening statement, this is what's on the tube. Where each and every episode of our Arrow review series, we are reviewing each and every Arrow season. We're on season 2 right now. So, Sal, for you, is Arrow season 2 worth the binge?
absolutely, it is. Like I said, Slade Wilson definitely one of the best characters I think in Arrow. No future spoilers, but he's really like his ties to Oliver's backstory and just who Slade Wilson is as a character. I feel like, especially no future spoilers again, but the fact that you do end up seeing this character again, even though we both know obviously how Arrow season two ends, but it's just the fact that you know that he's he kind of sticks around, kind of like the Reverse Flash in the
The
Flash.
Flash, yeah.
He kind of sticks around throughout the entire series, so I think it's pretty awesome. Um, yeah, definitely like Slade. Slade also, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just think that he's a really cool character. I always thought Deathstroke, and especially like for Oliver, he kind of thought he had met his match in Malcolm Merlin. Imagine,
Yeah, his
but
horror when Slade Wilson came
this,
back.
the student meets the master almost with Slade
Yeah,
Wilson.
yeah,
Slade
no,
Wilson taught him how to fight.
yeah. They said that there was a line, I think, in the later half, like towards the end, where he said, like, "Don't forget who taught you all your moves, kid." So I was like, "Fuck, I
Mhm.
forgot." Yeah, damn. Like, how do you beat your own master? Like, without having an advantage up your sleeve, that you really can't, because
Mhm.
you just can't. I mean, it can happen, and of course, obviously, it did happen. But um, No, yeah, that was a really like a really they really put like a very difficult challenge for him this season. Um, but no, yeah, you're right. I think Slade Wilson, he definitely like again the way that again no future spoilers and when we were reviewing season one, like we knew like yeah Slade was going to be the next season's villain, but it was like the way like we know in the flashbacks that like at the when we were starting the seasons like so far everything seems to be good. They're all like him, the trio, you know, the stranded trio. They seem to be bonding as a family, sort of like a very dysfunctional family. And you know, I was like really curious, like, oh, why did they become enemies again? Then I remember, oh, damn,
Mhm.
I forgot all about that. And um, no, yeah, but like, I really did feel for Slade. I did really feel for him. I mean, in the earlier flashback, then when we got to see his journey throughout the latter half, and then seeing him in the present, like it all makes sense. And just seeing him, you know, really want to get revenge on Oliver was definitely like the driving motive. And again, the way the writers, because again, this is the thing, like the thing that again, no future spoilers, like from a later season that I will not mention right now. But then there's an upcoming season where it's like they really had to stretch out one particular villain throughout the entire 23 episode order. And here, Slade is the main villain throughout season two, but we didn't need to see him from episode one. We didn't see him until like what towards the like after the Barry Allen stuff. I think that's when we first saw him, like in the present day
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah. So like what I like about this is, he was kind of the puppet master pulling the strings. So at first the big bad seemed like it was going to be, and obviously you knew he wasn't the main villain, but the main villain of like the first portion of that season was Sebastian Blood, who was of course opposing his mother for mayor.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
Oliver's mother, not his
oh,
mother,
his mother,
Oliver's
yeah.
mother. Quick thing to know. Please tell me if I wasn't the only one. Like when I was watching Arrow season two, like the new DA character, I forgot his fucking name. The new DA character that Laura works for now, as well as Nick Blood, not Nick Blood, Sebastian Blood. I'll be honest with you, like this is not like your generic like I see every white guy as the same, but legitimately I forget like I thought these two were like the same character. I thought, and it's like oh no, they're different characters. It's like oh god, I'm an idiot. Like I completely thought these two looked alike. Am I the only one, or did you think that too?
I don't know if I thought that just
Damn.
because I actually really loved Sebastian Blood's character.
Oh, he was cool.
Um,
I thought he was a cool like side villain.
I thought he was a good side villain. Like the creep factor was there, but also the fact that he did actually care for the city, as you came to find
Mm-hmm.
out
Oh yeah,
at the
seeing his
very end
yeah.
of the season. So he did care for the city, but at the same time aligning himself with Slade. Kind of going behind Oliver's back to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the creepiest part, obviously he was kind of a creep with Laurel.
Oh no, yeah, he was.
It
Yeah,
was
he
yeah.
definitely
So,
wanted her. Sorry to say that. I had to be the one. I got to be the one to say that, man. Come on.
and what's funny was the dad, Quentin Lance, a guy who I see as like a strict dad, was like cheering for Sebastian Blood. I remember he was like, "Yeah, this guy's
I
good."
think he
Don't.
just didn't want. Let's be honest. He didn't want her to date either Oliver or Tommy R.I.P. I guess he didn't want her to date either of them, considering their past. That was my personal opinion because this, and again, like remember, like we didn't like for us, we knew like oh yeah, Nick Blood was Sebastian. I don't know why I keep saying Nick Blood. I don't know why, but Sebastian Blood. Like we knew who he was, but like to Quentin, he didn't fucking know shit. I mean, for him, he could have been like a perfect son-in-law material, but he wasn't.
Mhm.
We knew that as fans, but not him. So I'm not gonna fault Quentin on that. And also, shout out to Quentin. Like, I think this may have been the actor Lance Blackhorn's best season. I think he played Quentin so freaking well this season. Seeing him kind of fall from his pedestal in season one to now kind of like having to like really become that Jim Gordon-esque character. Like he's starting to really see that yeah, Oliver, well, the Arrow's like really a force for good. Like sure the methodology doesn't align, but like sometimes especially this season, seeing him particularly was yeah we would need a hero like the Arrow to like really help us out like in certain cases. So I appreciate the way they played him this season.
Yeah, absolutely. What was most impressive is like the complete 180 that he made from season one. Like you just said, he pretty much, he sees Oliver as he goes from a guy who pretty much assigns a task. He gets like a small task force to go after Oliver, makes multiple attempts, including in season one, using his daughter as bait
Mm-hmm.
to all of a sudden, okay, well now I'm on board with the arrow. And it's somewhat you have to give that credit to Felicity. Obviously, he knows Felicity is a good person, and her being a mutual friend with the arrow kind of bodes well in Oliver's favor. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, Quentin only wants what's best for Starling, and I think he quickly sees when Oliver stops killing, and Oliver tells him that like in as the arrow to his face,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm trying a different way. So once Quentin hears that, I think that he's a little bit more comfortable with. In a lot of ways, I forget what the guy's name was, Lieutenant Pike or something. Quentin
Um,
Lance. Quentin. It
yeah,
was his.
I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about. I don't remember the
it
name.
was
I know
his
he was
boss
kind of
at the
like
police
he became the
station.
new Quentin this season, like the new season one Quentin, where he was like dead
Yeah,
ass against the vigilante. Let's go get him. Let's take him down. Um, I forgot if was he in season one. I forgot. He looked too familiar to like not be like. I think he was in season one, wasn't he? Or was that someone else?
yeah, I think so. I think he was because I think that Quentin Lance got the demotion from detective
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I
After
think
the
it was
events of
season
the,
one, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
after the what was the after the undertaking? Yeah, they kind of blamed Quentin for not blamed him, but like putting his allegiance in the arrow. Kind
Hmm.
of didn't bolster his his career choices fairly well for him after that season ended. Oh, so yeah, yeah, but no, he did get demoted, and I think that was like the right direction to play him because you did get to see him like kind of him as a detective, he had more to lose. So he was kind of dead set on being the man who's going to take down Oliver. But then when we saw him in season two, it was like he's just a he's just a beat cop. I don't think
Hmm.
he cared anymore. Like, sure, he still wants to protect the city. He cares about his daughter. But like when we got to more of the stuff concerning Oliver as the Arrow, he just seemed to like, okay, let's do this, or I'm on your side because what does he have to lose now?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I
So
mean,
before we get to the spoiler section, let's do a quick rapid fire. What did you think of Diggle's? We really skipped over Diggle last season. What did you think of Diggle as a character this season?
oh well, I mean, for me, John Diggle throughout this entire like series is kind of Oliver's moral compass. Oliver's kind of a jerk. I mean, I like how they make the main character kind of a jerk, but like still like a hero, but like at times you could see it, like what I was telling you about, like what he said to Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's kind of being a when he tells when he gets in Barry's face and about being in Starling City. And but John Diggle is always the guy who pulls Oliver back because without Diggle, Oliver would easily be dead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times this season that Oliver has almost like run headfirst into battle before Diggle stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
So in a lot of ways, he plays such like a he's kind of the moral compass of the group. I mean, Felicity, like she's kind of the same way, but I think Diggle is the stronger voice just because he can kind of relate to Oliver in terms of like the battlefield. Obviously, he's a veteran,
Mm-hmm.
so he's been
Oh
there
yeah, we
on
have
the
to see more of that.
battlefield.
We got to see more of that this
Yeah.
season. Yeah, with the he had a flashback episode with forget the name. Lila. He had a flashback episode with
Oh
her.
yeah, I really loved the Diggle flashback still. And also they had a couple of episodes like geared towards just him with all the dead shot,
Oh,
when they were.
with the faux Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
which we'll talk
No.
about in the spoiler section. But what about because I think we said like I think you made a joke like oh I really wish they did more with the next season. Do you think they accomplished that this season with Thea? I think they did, for me I think they did a much better job with Thea this season. I think she actually had a character journey. She actually had like stuff to do, and seeing the last minute revelation, which again we'll talk about in the spoiler section for that one. But do you think they did justice for not justice, but like, do you think they did a better job with her this season than in season one?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I thought that the first season was kind of establishing Oliver and like the main like Oliver, Felicity, and John Diggle as like a team, and having to like introduce like the big powerful characters in the show. So like Quentin Lance, Laurel. So like I thought Thea was kind of left out in that,
Mm-hmm.
but in this season especially, Thea, she opposes her brother. She opposes Roy at certain points. She opposes her mother especially. So kind of seeing her go up against and be able to hold her own, like up against like those three major characters, I thought it was pretty cool for Thea, and it was the beginning of a long journey in which she kind of just gets more and more important as the season goes on, and so hopefully it continues in season three because I think she has a lot of potential to be really one of the best characters on the show.
Oh no, yeah, you're definitely right. They definitely like set her up for that, but will she actually do? We'll talk about more of this in the spoiler section, but like in terms of season three, we'll see. I haven't watched Arrow in like 2 weeks. No offense, man, but I was like really anxious to like. I know what happened, but it's like I really was anxious to like. Oh, I want to see how season three is, from a new, fresher perspective. And then he told me that, oh, I'm not there yet. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah,
It's
so
fine. It's
just
fine, man. It's fine, man. I know you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart. I'm not really. I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying I'm a little bit. I was a little bit like. I know. I was like, oh, I don't. I want to jump to season three, but I can't because I don't want my conscience to like. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. But
yeah.
So before we move on to spoilers, Sal, in your final thought, would you recommend Arrow season two? What would you recommend it?
I mean, I absolutely would. You know, Obviously, I already went into like Slade Wilson as a character, both as Deathstroke, and Slade Wilson. Um,
Shout out to Monty Bennett.
but also, but also Oliver grows like a lot throughout this season. Like he really does go through a lot. Obviously, after season one, he returned from the island, whatever. But this time, you actually saw like what he went through. Just from his mindset of seeing Slade Wilson, like what's going on in his mind when he sees Slade sitting right in his living room,
Mm-hmm.
and then just the fact that just to see as the season goes on and on, him doubting himself, I thought was a huge thing at one point. So I would definitely recommend it. I thought the flashbacks were fantastic.
Oh, they're the best this
I
season.
like these flashbacks a little. I mean, maybe it's just because of the point of the story that we're at, but I like these flashbacks. I think a little bit better than I like the season one flashbacks,
I
just
agree.
because there
Yeah.
was a little more action involved in the flashbacks this time. Everything was like you have to watch or else you're gonna miss something.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I would absolutely 100% recommend Arrow season two.
Same thing with all the reasons you said. They did a tremendous job picking up the steam from season one and managed to amplify that like in so many different directions this season. And of course, we'll get to like all the stuff we didn't get to talk about yet in the non spoiler section. But overall, yeah, I really did dig season two. Um, so far, yeah, it is the better season of the bunch. But we'll talk more of that at the very end of it. So. Again, if you're unaware, you can go catch Arrow season two on Netflix. So if you just finished up season one, go watch it. It's available on Netflix. It's 23 hours. It's a whole day if you don't want to take a breather, take a nap. So with that being said, okay, this is it. This is your last warning. Go watch Arrow season two on Netflix right now before it gets moved because I'm pretty sure HBO Max will probably scoop it up at some point in the future. Okay, ready? Three, two, last call. One. We are officially in spoiler section. Now there was three directions I could have taken this out with you. We could either take this the Barry Allen route. We could have taken this the Slade Wilson bunker route. Not the bunker, the original Arrow Cave route. But dude, I gotta be honest. Like,
During this spoiler section, sorry to cut you off there. I'm glad you brought up John Niggle before because I want to talk like more about him also during like this spoiler section because his character gets so much more attention this season, and rightfully so. If you want to establish him as like Oliver's right hand man,
well,
you want
correction, Sal. the line they use in season 2 episode in the second episode of this season, "I'm Oliver Queen's black bodyguard." That was the way he phrased himself, and I'm like, dude, they give no fucks. They know what's up.
I mean, obviously, they know what's going on, and they basically called it how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
If you're and obviously, I forget the actor's name for John Diggle, but
It's David. Damn, I'm thinking of the. Oh damn, what is David Ramsey? David Ramsey.
David Ramsey. Yep. Obviously he was I thought he pulled it off quite nicely. Just kind of telling it what it is. But I really liked his character. I think out of everybody, even more so than Thea, his character evolved. So he went from, as he phrased it, Oliver's black bodyguard to hero number 2, I thought, in this season. His bravery. Obviously, he didn't have the same training that Oliver did. Obviously, being a veteran, he had, that type of training.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have what Oliver had in vigilante training, which is really what Slade and Shadow gave him as he was trying to fight to survive on the island. So for that reason, and a lot of times Diggle ran in headfirst into danger, just like Oliver did. So for that reason, I really love what they did with Diggle.
Oh no, yeah, same. Especially developing I'll call it the OTA because they're gonna use it in the future when we get to those seasons. But the OTA, the original Team Arrow, the way they set up the way they improved that dynamic, even when we saw Oliver and Felicity, not Oliver, Diggle and Felicity go back to the island to go get Oliver to come back home. Even just seeing their reactions, like it's been some time, they build a rapport, and then they kept building that up. Where when Diggle had to go do that mission in Russia to get Lila out, and seeing Oliver drop everything for him, because like last season Oliver would have definitely been like, okay, you can go to Russia, I can handle you without you this week, but he said no. He's like, we're gonna pack up our bags, we're going to Russia. So just seeing Diggle having that, like, well, Diggle and the connection that the original team had, having that more strength in them, having more of a bond between them, even though it's only season 2, it's only been like a year and some change for them, but still just seeing their dynamic evolve and their relationship just grow so much more closer was it was just great to see. And again, with every superhero show tends to have like more expansion as we continue, especially on this journey. But seeing the core 3 kind of like really get to solidify their connection this season, it was great. It was great to like for them to build that off season 1.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Diggle even in some ways got his own episodes, and one of the best dynamics I think on the show was John Diggle versus Deadshot.
The evolution of last season.
Yeah, so I really think that Diggle, obviously like he wants to go after Deadshot. He wants him dead. I won't say they become friends, but he sees that obviously that Amanda Waller is gonna kill them.
I guess Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So he kind of takes, not that he takes pity on them, but he
I think Diggle just gains more, not respect for Deadshot. I think he just grows a better understanding of him because yes, we know Deadshot killed his brother. We know that. That's still a fact that we can never get out of our mind. But still, I still believe they're not friends. They're absolutely the furthest things away from friends. I think they'll still be enemies if Deadshot came back to Starling City as like an enemy of the team again. But at least in a certain way, Diggle does understand his motivations, his attributes, his characteristics more differently, and has a much more better understanding with them. So, especially seeing them together in the Suicide Squad episode was also. Sorry, let's talk about Suicide Squad for a bit. So, before The Flash became a spin-off, there were brief talks about spinning off Suicide Squad into their own thing, with Diggle potentially joining the cast. Would you have been comfortable with that? Because the only reason they got canceled, because remember there was a movie coming out, that shitty 2016 movie. But would you have been a fan had this dynamic, the dynamic from that episode continued to its own series?
You mean the Deadshot Diggle?
Yeah, yeah, because so it was the plan team was going to be for the spin-off, and this was as a spin-off idea. They didn't really develop because again the movie came out, so they were like, no, let's put them away. So it was going to be Deadshot, Diggle, Lila, Amanda Waller, and Bronze Tiger. Would you have liked to see them continue forward in their own spin-off, like continue those storylines, or do you think it was fine they stay on Arrow?
I like them staying on Arrow. First things first with Diggle. As much as respect or whatever you want to call it, he might gain for Deadshot. It's still the guy who killed his brother, so I can't ever imagine Diggle actually teaming up with the guy, unless he's really forced to, like he was with Amanda Waller.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't like the Waller character. Um,
You don't like her?
yeah, I mean she had good. So at the end of the season, obviously she goes to like Nuke Starling City, and she actually does send in a drone that gets pretty damn close.
Yeah, and then Lila had to go take it out.
Yeah, with I don't want to say good intentions, but she was thinking about everybody else that could have been affected. Um, Obviously the Mirror crew that had taken over Slade and his army. If that gets out, it could kill a whole bunch of other people.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, yeah,
But
yeah. No, I understand her intentions. I get that. I guess it's just like the way a government official should be. I don't think that's usually the right protocol to do. I certainly understand what she's talking about, but between the Suicide Squad and then also, yeah, her plan to nearly nuke Starling City. Keep getting confused on that. That definitely was that was a bit of an annoyance, but it makes sense. But also in the comics, yeah, she is kind of like a pretty shitty person. Like she's willing to do anything to get the job done. So I think Amanda Waller's character is more true to the comics, but yeah, like you, like I wasn't a big fan of her per se. But yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah. Other than that, actually, we haven't really talked about the reason Slade Wilson becomes who he is, and that's obviously the Mirror Crew, which Oliver and Shadow used to really save his life. Um, and I have to wonder the dynamic of if had Oliver not used the Mirror Crew on Slade. When obviously Ivo in the bunker, uh, Ivo is pleading his case to Oliver when Slade comes in behind him, and then Ivo kind of tells Slade the truth. I wonder if not for the Mirror Crew, does Slade still flip out like that? Obviously, because let's be honest, Oliver really had nothing really to do with Shadow's death,
Uh,
and
mm, I think
um,
that's so yeah, circumstance around the death that were the reason why Slade began his path to becoming a villain. Um, so when they found Sarah again, and then Oliver got to get Sarah out of the out of Iva's custody, and then yeah, saving Slade from the bomb that he got caught in when he and Oliver was trying to get back to Shadow way before that. Um, that's the thing about the shitty like who do you choose type situation, because like yeah, again, like if the villain is serious, then like someone's gonna get insulted, someone's going to get hurt, like no matter like why'd you choose that person, why couldn't you save the person I care about? And that's the thing that's like you can never really like, it's always gonna be a lose-lose. Think about it, it's
mhm.
gonna be a lose-lose.
Yeah, I mean, you knew. I think Oliver in his head knew somebody was gonna die, and what I've seen a lot online is that Ivo happened to point the gun at Sarah first. So it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if he would have pointed the gun at Shadow first. Because obviously,
Mm.
obviously Ivo points the gun at Shadow at Sarah, and Oliver runs up behind her and gets on his knees to like kind of shield her. And then Ivo says, "Okay, I guess you made your choice," and he shoots Shadow and kills her. If it's
Yeah,
the other way around, I kind of wonder what decision Oliver would have. How does that change Oliver's decision making?
that's that's an interesting thing. I think it would be the same thing. Yeah, he would have definitely defended her first, because I think in his head, because again, innocent Oliver would have definitely been like, um, what was I gonna say? He definitely would have been something along the likes of, he thought that like, oh, this wasn't the final like questioning like who do you choose. He thought this was like the first choice, so he was like, okay, he's not gonna shoot her yet. He's still gonna think about it, and then he obviously like went the other direction right away. I don't know, man. I don't know. It would have been interesting to see, but again, everything happens in the story for a reason. And again, remember, Oliver didn't. He assumed Slade was after the count, so there was no guarantee he was going to come and help save the day or come a little bit earlier. There was no guarantee, so he kind of had to put things in his own hands on that one. So it would have been interesting. I think again, I know Shadows' death kind of sucked, but it was necessary for the story to continue and to kind of pit these two, because let's be honest here, Slade did definitely have feelings for Shadow. That was kind of apparent from like the get go, and yeah, from a derogatory sense, like it would have made more sense for Slade and Shadow to be together since they're the more compatible. Oliver just had his looks. Let's be honest there. And Oliver now has yep.
Let's not remember a small detail. I don't remember if this was season 1 or 2. Oliver and Shadow hook up, and then obviously Slade, not that he walks in on them, but when they're getting dressed, that's when Slade kind of comes in and goes, "Oh damn!" Like you can kind of see it on his face.
Like he wanted to be the one to do it with her.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice touch. But yeah, man.
But no, also it was this season. I thought it didn't happen. It happened this season. Like I think around episode 4 or 5 or something like that.
Right before one of my favorite episodes, and it was kind of before Slade got involved. It was the Dollmaker episode.
That was such a fucking creepy episode.
I know.
It was so creepy, like the way he put like the I forgot what chemical he used, like the thing to like make them look like doll like.
Yeah.
That was so fucking creepy, man. I mean,
I remember he put it down their throats and it like hardened their throats or whatever. It was pretty terrifying.
It was. That really was. Yeah, the way. Yeah. Also, it's hilarious how the Lances always get involved in every near death situation. It's so ironic.
Well, for this one, I thought it was cool because Quentin was the one who had put this guy away. So when he got out, when the Dollmaker got out, Quentin said every guy that this girl kills is now on me. So Quentin really makes it a point to find this guy again, and it's really his first look at Oliver as really being like a hero, because he's not 100% on board with Oliver yet, but when Oliver shows up to save Laurel, he basically just says, do whatever you have to do.
Wait, no. That was Sarah who came first. Sarah came, then Oliver.
No. Oliver showed up first, and then I think Oliver.
Sarah was there. That was the first time she was actually in proximity with Laura and Quentin at the same point. I remember that moment. They were in close proximity.
But I remember, I think it was Oliver who comes in, he jumps in and unties Lance, and he breaks the machine, and then so obviously Quentin goes to untie Laurel and he tells Oliver, do whatever you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's fine. Quentin's first look at, okay, this guy's helped me take down a major criminal. He's kind of earned my support. And also, one line that's always stuck with me is, I don't agree with this guy. I think it was something like, I don't agree with this guy's methods, but he seems to have a habit of putting himself in between you, as in Laurel, and danger. So that's kind of Quentin's like revelation of realizing Oliver as a hero, rather than almost like the hunter that he was, crossing off names on the list in season 1.
Yeah, now he's like an actual protector of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. That was a cool direction to put him. But one more thing I want to get to before we get to the Barry Allen stuff, because even though actually we haven't talked about this yet. So on the Arrow review series, we will not be reviewing the crossovers. The crossovers are just they're their own thing. Like they're just using a production episode out of every season of Arrow just for the crossover story. So we won't be reviewing that unless some aspects of it, some of the fallout from those crossovers does affect the actual show. They'll only be talking. Well, basically, we're skipping over the crossover for when we start with the one, not the next one. We're the next season, not season 3, but when we get to season 4, we're gonna be skipping that one. So just letting you know. But before we get to the Barry Allen stuff and how his introduction really changed everything, What did you think of the way they kind of downplayed Oliver and Laurel this season in favor for Oliver and Felicity? Because they definitely made it apparent that like Oliver and Laurel were not going to make it.
Well, I think the thing about that is because of Tommy's death, I really felt like that kind of Oliver and Laurel like it just wasn't gonna work out.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, obviously, um, Oliver and Laurel kind of got together as soon as like Tommy and Laurel broke up, and that made obviously that caused a rift between Oliver and Tommy. But at the same time, so now that Tommy died saving Laurel, I feel like Laurel owes it to him to kind of not date Oliver, and at the same time, Oliver watched him die. So
Mm-hmm.
Oliver's more focused on
Being a hero than
being
dating.
a hero and honoring Tommy, and Felicity is heavily involved in that. Obviously, she's part of Team Arrow. Um,
No, yeah, because no. Well, either way, they definitely played that. Felicity did definitely had feelings for Oliver. These two definitely had a more of a natural, more organic connection this season
mhm,
than Oliver and Laura. Because the way they did in season one was like, you know, old feelings reemerging. This was the first time they were physically seeing each other in 5 years. Um, that sort of thing, and I think now, yeah, having dealt with the entirety of the events of season one, that for me it definitely made sense for why Oliver didn't necessarily view Laura as like the one he wants to be with anymore, and also for Laura, I don't think Laura ever was against dating Oliver again. I think there were moments where they were kind of flirting with the idea. I mean, or I think maybe she. Well, I don't remember that well, um, but no, like this season definitely made more of a hard connection, a really hard attempt to like really make Oliver and Felicity stand out more than Oliver and Laurel. Not in a bad way, not in the way of like they were forcing it, but no, like this was more like you said, like they were working together, spending more time together. And when Sarah joined in, and then when Sarah and Oliver hooked up again, um, I don't think Oliver knew just yet, but when on Felicity's side, when she was seeing her, Sarah, and Oliver back together again, or at least in the proximity of each other again, she was kind of feeling excluded because like Oliver is interested in badass chicks. Felicity isn't one. Um, so I definitely noticed like that there was definitely the growing connection there on at front for this season as well, for this one.
yeah, and what I like about Felicity is you quickly realize, like with the Lance sisters, like they're badass, but they can't handle Oliver's like tough, hard nosed, like kind of being a jerk
Mm,
type of attitude like Felicity can. Because Felicity, Oliver's yelled at her a couple of times just because if she's stressed, if he's stressed out and she can't find enough to help him, she kind of, he kind of lashes out at her
mm-hmm.
and she's not afraid to like hit back against him. Whereas I feel like Laurel and Sarah would kind of be like, what the? And they would like be rendered speechless. So
Oh
for
no,
that,
yeah,
yeah, like it's kind of a quick character development for Felicity. Like the first season, she was just like a clumsy, like,
IT
um,
girl.
yeah, IT girl working for his mother, Oliver's mother.
Well, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was getting more comfortable.
Like a real like strong, like in her own way badass, but like obviously she's not trained to fight. And when Oliver like kind of sees her trying to train to fight, he kind of like that's he kind of knows that like that's not her.
Yeah, and he
So
didn't want it to go that route. They already got enough fighters on the team. They don't need another one. But I think, and this is the perfect segue to it. I think the like you just said, like Oliver has lashed out at Felicity a couple times. I think that started after Barry got introduced, where yeah, for a while Felicity's only focus in life at the beginning of season two was just Oliver, and his mission and helping save the city. So they were spending more time together. Then when Barry got introduced, not as a real recurring, romantic rival, but just like as a character, especially as we're not going to talk about this fully, but like when we see them in Flash season one, for example, from what you remember and what I remember, seeing their connection, their spark originally, like, yeah, these two have a lot in common. they could make a good couple. And I think Oliver sees that, and obviously, well, before we get to that part, what did you think of like the two-parter? Expanding the Arrowverse, like seeing Barry Allen kind of briefly dabbling on the Flash lore that we would see in the Flash spinoff.
Yeah, I definitely I think like I think it actually dove a lot into Barry's like skills as like a scientist. Obviously this is before he had his powers, but it really dove into it did a great job of introducing the Barry Allen character for the Flash. Whereas you see Barry as like a great scientist, but not only that, he has like a little bit of like and something that's not really highlighted in the Flash, but he's got a little bit of like medical, like not medical training, but like he knows like kind of what to do. Like obviously he helped save Oliver's life
Mm-hmm.
with quick thinking, um, with rat poison, nonetheless. So I really think that that's something they didn't highlight in the Flash, but I think it's something that was highlighted here in that just how smart Barry Allen is. Like he's still like you still see him at the time as like a young kid because obviously this is before the Flash season 1, but
Yeah,
you see the potential and how smart he is. Why he's an assistant CSI at such a young age, and it's because he's got such a great mind for science, but also medical, um, too. So kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is he's very, I don't know, versatile minded. Like he's open minded, and he really like has a large collection of knowledge that I really think is not. Because once Cisco and Caitlin get involved,
yeah, they
he
did.
doesn't
They
need to be.
that's their purpose. Because why give Barry so much more? Like, look at all the cool qualities our superhero, like our main hero, has, and then we have his sidekick, which is like just basically supporting it. Yeah, yeah, you got a point there, but I think it was more because this wasn't a proper like. So here's the thing: I'm watching Smallville at the same time as this because since I haven't done the Arrow or Doctor Who stuff yet, with or George, independently and respectfully, I was catching up on some other shows, so I was watching Smallville, and so seeing Clark, for example, meet the other heroes, seeing like their version of the Flash, well, pre-Flash, he already had his powers, so they were more focusing on his powers than more of him as a character. I mean, they were kind of doing both, but you know what I mean. So in this case, Gene, we just got the setup for Barry. It wasn't like this is the Flash. It wasn't like the Flash is an established hero. This is him just appearing in Starling City. This wasn't it. This was definitely a setup of like, here's the character, a pretty cool character that we know is going to be this amazing superhero down the line, and they were just introducing him as like a regular human being that we know he's going to be important. We know he's going to be like down the line like a central figure in this world, but in this moment, we kind of just see him as a human being. We just see him as a normal, Joe. No pun intended to me and you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, what I liked was, obviously I'm a big fan of the Flash. Was Barry hinting at, or not really hinting, but just kind of coming out and saying, "Oh my God," being so excited about the particle accelerator, and just thinking, "Wow, his life is going to change in about, in just a little while." And I like how when he's trying to get back to Central City and he misses that last train, like that's one more. That's like the very first I wasn't fast enough reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was awesome.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Like saying that like, his life is about to change. Shortly. It just takes a little bit. It was just a little bit more longer of a wait. Did any of these two episodes give you anything like, oh, I want to rewatch The Flash down the line?
yeah, definitely. Well, for me at first, I was like, I want to watch the crossover episodes again. But then after I finished Arrow season 2, I started watching Flash season 1 yet again.
Oh god damn it!
And
Oh
it
my
just
god!
made me back
I
into
meant for like a
flow.
potential review series in 2023. Man, come on! Don't spoil the material. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
2023.
Well, we're doing like here's the thing, like, but not to really toot our own horns here. We don't know where the future entails, but it would be more logistical for us to review something that's kind of completed or very long ahead. I mean, Arrow's done. Supergirl. Ironically, as we were in between recordings, Supergirl just announced that they were going to end with season 6 before the Flash.
Yeah,
So, I feel like it wouldn't it be make more sense for a. I'm saying hypothetically, this is not like a confirmed thing or anything. We don't know what the future holds, but wouldn't it make more sense for us to do a Supergirl every season reviewed for a completed show than the Flash? Even though yes, it is the next one chronologically.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I also like what they're gonna do with this new season. Now that that newspaper is no longer hanging over Barry's head, the one that says he disappears in 2024. That's been such a running theme throughout
The
the Flash
Flash.
so far, and now that that's not there anymore,
They're kind of free to do whatever they want.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that would be interesting. But anyway, enough about the Arrowverse. Let's go back to Arrow. But to go back to your point, yeah, once Barry comes into the picture and him going into his coma and then Felicity wanting to spend more time with him because yeah, she does kind of have a small crush on him, and then seeing Oliver kind of flip out when she wasn't on her A game when something happens. Um, yeah, it was definitely. I think that definitely was a sign that like Oliver was beginning to really have feelings for her, but not like in the feelings of like right away like oh I like her. More like I care about her a lot, but I don't want to say it in that aspect. So let me say it in a different aspect, if you know what I mean. Like they were kind of tiptoeing the lines of like romantic speaking, but they were trying to like kind of harping it back to just like the mission.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um,
I'm trying to think.
yeah.
Oh, we haven't talked about Roy yet. Our
Oh,
boy, our
absolutely.
our boy Roy. We forgot to talk about him. Like you mentioned Roy, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. We should talk about Roy at some point in the spoiler. But I think Roy had like a very. It was kind of like Oliver's redo on Slade. If you understand what I'm thinking.
Absolutely, and he made actually a bunch of like obvious like hints at it. He said, "I won't lose." He said something like, "I won't lose Slade like I lost," or "I won't lose Roy like I lost Slade."
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's Oliver. That's in a way, it's kind of Oliver's redemption story. In a lot of ways, like this whole season was how he handles Slade, and obviously how he handles Roy. Like his determination to save Roy's life. Um, a guy that he trained, and not only a guy that he trained, but a guy that really wasn't listening to his training.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, didn't really like Oliver's style of training. Oliver still took Roy as his responsibility because he thought that Slade was his responsibility for just assuming that Slade was dead.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, obviously they were able to save Roy, and obviously, or um, Oliver wishes he could have done the same with Slade.
But he couldn't.
You
The
know,
circumstances were
yeah,
different.
yeah. The circumstances were a lot different. He obviously didn't have Diggle or Felicity with him, so I'll say Oliver was a lot more well resourced when it came to Roy than he was with Slade. Also, Slade at the time was kind of out of control, anyways. Like he had already been like kind of set off with the Mirakuru, and
Mirakuru.
yeah,
You're just having a difficulty pronouncing it now in this preview. It's fine still. It's kind of funny.
nobody says it better than Slade.
The Mirakuru.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best. Sorry, Slade impression. I'm sorry, Manu Bennett, if you're watching this somehow. I apologize. If you want to go break an arrow, I'll go ahead. But well, no, yeah, I think Roy had a very interesting direction this season. Since again, we knew when he briefly appeared at the end of season one that like yeah, we knew he was gonna be Oliver's sidekick at some point in the future. We just didn't know when or how. And then getting to see it actually develop in the show, where yeah, it was more like I thought the reasoning was kind of weird in my opinion. That yeah, Roy did care about him a lot. He did want to like he idolized him a lot, and then when when he got the opportunity, he kind of like he didn't really expect what he was going through or what he was gonna get himself in, and um, I liked Roy this season. I really did. He was kind of the hot headed young kid that every superhero needs. That little like out of control dynamite stick you need. Even before or after Mirakuru. Oh my god! Even I'm having difficulties pronouncing it. Um, yeah, no, I really liked I really liked Roy this season, but I think it's mostly also we gotta give it a shot. We have yet to talk about her on this review series. We gotta give Katie Lotz a big shout out for her portrayal of Sarah Lance.
Oh, absolutely. I thought in a lot of ways, obviously a different circumstances for Sarah rather than for Oliver, but I don't know. I thought Oliver, I thought Sarah for not having the training that Oliver had. Obviously, he got trained by the League of Assassins, was almost just as strong as Oliver. I really liked, like, obviously, we mentioned about the Dollmaker episode. She was the one who, I think that fought the Dollmaker, or she helped Oliver fight him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked her character, and the ones that she brings. She brings what's the other girl's name? Sin. She brings her in, and I thought that was an awesome connection.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
Giving her a figure to look up to when Sarah was like really alone during her time away. But yeah, because she did have Oliver briefly. She did was under Ivo's control for a bit, and then kind of mild future spoilers with the League of Assassins for like 3 of them. But it wasn't really like her real family. It was more like just she was forced to do it just to survive. Having her be this kind of like motherly figure or sisterly figure to Sin was sisterly figure. That was sweet. It was kind of like her like not making sure she doesn't go for what she did back when during the flashbacks timeline. But yeah, Sarah was a complete badass. I mean, you do know that like this is not the original actress who played her in the pilot, right, in the first season. You know that?
What, Sarah?
Yeah, so Sarah was played by a different actress in the pilot, the first episode. This is a different actress.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think they wanted someone with more, stunt training, with more martial art prowess. I no offense to the actress who played Sarah originally. I don't know her at all. I don't know what other work she did. I think it was more of like, I think it was just finding the right like for the moment. I don't think they knew like Sarah was gonna be like this big central figure in the show yet. But like I think when they were scripting out season 2, they knew like Sarah could have a potential, huge role, and they needed an actress to kind of like really fit what they needed for Sarah to be this season. I don't think the last actress could fit all those qualities. No offense to her again. I mean, no offense, but just some, you know who's the right choice when you know them.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you're right. They in a lot more ways, I think Katie Lotz pulled off badass quite a
Oh yeah,
lot better than the original actress could have. Um,
but again, no offense to her. No offense to the original
yeah,
actress.
again, yeah. I just I don't know. Obviously, with everything that has happened with Sarah Lance, just throughout all of Arrow,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that they made the right choice. Obviously, it's not easy replacing an actress like that. Like, okay, this is gonna be our cast, and then having to kind of scramble to find another actress.
Are you referring to Batwoman?
Oh no, no, no. No.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see how Batwoman's gonna do things in season 2. I can't wait. I'm curious to see. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but no, yeah. So yeah, shout out to Katie Law. I think she did a fantastic performance. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else we kind of skipped, or if we did skip over. Okay, a few minor tidbits we can go upon here before we wrap it up. Isabella, the real rival character this season, or i.e. their version of the Ravager, or I think it's Ravager, the female Deathstroke. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Isabella. Let's give it. Let's get like how last season I said I kind of like manishly like literally whatever you want to call like kind of a sleazy guy said like that detective from season 1 was kind of hot.
Mm-hmm.
This season's kind of hot. Very non-real and soulful award goes to Isabella. Dude, if she managed to bang both Robert Queen and Oliver Queen, okay, done. She wins.
Oh, that's gross to think about. But yeah.
What, she goes for the father first, then she goes for the son?
Yep. Oh well.
But isn't it kind of weird that after the night she slept with Oliver, she just isn't seen in the show again for like a while? Like I don't see her character for like at least 7 episodes. I didn't see her character at all till like when things started to really ramp up on the Deathstroke front.
Yeah, obviously. Well, I mean, I think that it was just that she had really nothing to do. Like at that point, after like she hooked up with Oliver, it's now time for Slade to finally become more heavily involved.
as the villain.
Yeah, so I think you're kind of seeing like Oliver versus Slade a little bit more, and then she comes back in when she's needed as part of his obviously his Mirakuru army.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and one of the crazy thing was that honestly that I forgot about was that Diggle shoots her
Oh yeah,
like
I forgot about it. Like yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot. Yeah, that was a great shot. Obviously she's saved by the Mirakuru at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I say at the time because
Yeah,
Nissa does the right thing.
and kills her.
Absolutely.
I mean, Oliver didn't kill her. Oliver doesn't kill anymore. I mean, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, nudge. And Sarah did. Sarah did it again. No future spoilers here, but you know what I'm talking about. It's how when we get down to it in the future. But yeah. Also, it's a thing that I just remembered while you were saying that was oh damn, I forgot. I literally had the thought and then I forgot about it. There was coolest scene, the coolest tense scene. Definitely, you said this is the top of the show. I'll repeat it again. The scene where Oliver fully like I honestly felt like when I was rewatching season 2, it's like okay, there's gonna be a different way they're gonna set up Oliver and Slade's reunion in the present. And then when we got to see that it happen, it's like oh shit, I forgot this happens in the beginning of the episode because usually they save it for like the end of the episode, kind of like as the cliffhanger. So you come back next week and watch how this conversation. No, it's just like the full episode is like from start to end. This is like Oliver. That was a flashback heavy episode where it was like as Oliver and Slade were kind of like reconnecting, and then we're kind of like getting reacquainted and having to see everyone else kind of enter the picture and having it all fit clearly like what the stakes are for this upcoming battle or upcoming series of battles between them. I thought honestly the way they like you remember like you were saying before like you remember when Oliver tried to kill Slade as soon as his mother walked away and then Slade was like no 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 not that easy kid.
Yep.
No,
Absolutely. Just imagine all the things that are going through Oliver's head, like when he sees Slade, like he's got to hold back a bunch of rage. He thinks, "Is the Mirakuru still inside of you?" I finally said that correctly.
finally
Um,
yes.
yeah. Shouldn't you be dead? Am I in danger? Is my family in danger? What are you doing with my mother? Um, just crazy for Oliver. And then I was surprised when he went for the kill that quickly. Like, how would he have explained that to his mother?
Who knows? Self-defense. I think honestly the priority would have been let's get him dead first and then I'll figure out the excuse later.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, no, yeah, but no, that scene was so fucking cool, and the scene I think rivals that scene was that in terms of fight scenes, it's weird. Like the weird thing about most superhero TV shows for me is that I have yet to see one that has been hands down the best one, the best finale fight scene ever. I don't sadly think Arrow season 2 has that in my opinion, but seeing Oliver and the team fight him in the bunker, in the not the bunker, the Arrow cave, not in the last episode, but like a few episodes beforehand, like where he's just there sitting in the middle. It's like saying hello to everyone. Just that 2 minute fight scene was so fucking good. You felt the tension. You saw how everyone worked and their strength. Sarah tried her best to take him down with his League of Assassins training. He just took her out in one hit. Diggle fucking fired a whole magazine at him. Nothing. And a few punches, he's down. Oliver does the exact training thing they did back in season 1. This time more perfected. And he still got his ass kicked. It just showcased in 2 fucking minutes why Slade in the present is a bigger threat. 2 minutes. In just 2 minutes, they accomplished that. So hands down to the whole team. The stunt team, Mark Guggenheimer, the director. Hands down to them. Just hands down. They fucking did.
Absolutely. I think that and they really did a nice job of introducing Slade too. Like Amanda Waller, I think, is the one that tells Oliver, like, yeah, they call him Deathstroke, and like he's been all over the world, like killing people, and that they're trying to track him, and they just can't do it because obviously they don't know Deathstroke is Slade Wilson, but obviously Oliver knows exactly who that is, and rather than tell them, he just has to like,
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
kind of make a plan. Yeah, make a plan to he obviously has to make a plan to catch Slade.
Hmm.
A guy who he feels he's responsible for, a lot like he's responsible for Roy. Also, I'm on 20% battery, so.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll wrap this up soon. But yeah, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Oh, I forgot. John Barrowman. He does come back this season as Malcolm. So the last thing we'll talk about is like, what did you think of the twist that, yeah, Malcolm and Moira did bang? They banged. Did they make Thea? What was your reaction to that?
Um, it it's honestly it was kind of surprising, but at the same time,
Mm.
like it was kind of surprising because Oliver and Thea, like,
I mean, they're
not that
still
they're
related. They're still
yeah,
related.
still related, but and also the creepy discovery that Thea tried to hit on Tommy, who, as we discover, is her half brother.
Yeah. I don't think she. I think that's more. I think there's a future spoiler. I think. I don't think they mentioned. Like, I know in our heads we knew. Yeah, yeah. Oh damn. And that, but now, like down the line, I think they're gonna make that reference down the line. I think. I think I'm not sure, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But it's still kind of weird that Moira married Robert, eventually marries Walter, who barely gets an appearance this season. He's only in a few episodes. That fucking sucks. Um, and then she also slept with Malcolm. Who hasn't she slept yet on the board of Queens
I mean, well,
Consolidated?
the thing about it was that Robert Queen was, not so faithful. So Moira, in her eyes, that was kind of her way to justify it.
Yeah, I guess, but you don't want to
So
really stoop down. Like, if so, let's say, I hope to God this doesn't happen to you, Sal. Don't quote me on this. But if someone was to cheat on you, like, you're not going to respond by cheating back. You don't want to fall
no.
to their level.
Yeah, no, but I think that Moira obviously had a troubled past, a
Mm-hmm.
lot like Oliver did. Um, and Malcolm Merlin seems like a guy who can get what he wants, whether we're talking about business or
A woman.
anything else.
Yeah, well, we have to say it as
Yeah.
is. But I thought the twist was interesting. It definitely brought. Because let's think about it. If that didn't happen, would Malcolm really had a reason to come back on the show? No offense, John Barrymore did an amazing job last season, but do you really think they had a reason for him to come back if there wasn't a real reason for him to still be around the characters? If the Thea connection didn't happen?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's how he kind of sticks around in this show is through Thea, not necessarily Oliver, because Oliver's kind of already beaten him. Um, Even going as far to stab himself in order to stab Malcolm Merlin, which is, it was it was a cool shot, but I was like you almost thought, like, did the main character just kill himself in season one?
To
Is
kill
that
it, yeah. But
yeah.
to kind of like really like be a little bit of a vague like what's on the horizon thing. They mentioned this when when Sarah came back when we got to the second half, seeing the League of Assassins kind of wanting to have Sarah come home again, come back to the where they're located, and I think one of the assassins said, "You barely beat Malcolm Merlin," which was kind of one of her weaker assassins. How can you beat someone that's more powerful than him? I think that's kind of an indication, like, yeah, there's a bigger threat on the horizon. Who is that bigger threat? We'll have to wait till next season. But okay. So last question, last thing. What was your take on the final battle between Oliver and Slade?
Just a lot of things that Oliver, obviously they showed the two, the original, the flashback fight and the
Present day.
present day fight. So it just shows how much Oliver has kind of learned about, okay, I'm not on the island anymore. I don't have to be like a killer. Because obviously he stabbed Slade in the eye thinking, okay, he's dead.
Yeah, they should have fucking
But
killed him.
this one, he kind of shows Slade
Mercy.
I mercy, yeah, by simply locking him away. At Leah and you of all things, which I thought was awesome. He
Yeah, it
made his
made
own
sense.
prison.
Made sense to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but no, but like the thing, I love that final fight scene. It was just I really wish we got the environmental conditions of the flashbacks mixed with the choreography of the present because the way the flashback was like Oliver was still like let's say 20-25% of his expertise to present day versus a powered up Slade. So there really wasn't much you can do with the both of them. But then when you see them in the present day, they were like really equally matched when you took away the Mirakuru from Slade. So that's what I would have liked. I know, we can't have it both ways, but I really wish we had that way. Plus, the very last thing I'll talk about before we wrap it up was seeing at the manor when Oliver dropped off Felicity kind of to protect her, and the way they like this was kind of like their unofficial confession scene of their feelings when Oliver said like I Slade kidnapped the wrong woman that he thinks I love, when in reality it's like no, it's you, it's been Felicity this whole time. And
Mm-hmm.
I found that a little weird to think about because like, well, here's the thing, we know you were pining over Laurel for a long time during the flashbacks. You were just recently having sex with her sister like not less than a month ago. Where do these Felicity feelings came out of? I mean, yeah, I know they were probably in there for the longest time, and they only emerged once Sarah kind of was like no longer his partner. But I still thought the scene was like was touching, but I don't know. That just kind of like I knew Felicity's feelings like were genuine. Oliver's feelings just kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were there, like, especially when she challenges him, like when he yells at her and she snaps back at him. I think for him, I think that's what he found that he likes about Felicity, that and that she's super smart
Mm-hmm.
and she can hack into almost anything. So I think it was her kind of challenging Oliver that made him develop these feelings throughout like season two. And also, he kind of just realized that one, because of Tommy, and two, for her safety,
Mm-hmm.
that he shouldn't be with Laurel, especially since he was hooking up with Sarah throughout the season. So that kind of,
Yes,
it's. I think it was important for him to put the Lance sisters kind of behind him in terms of a romantic feeling.
and move on to Felicity. Hopefully next season.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, but fun fact for you about Felicity herself: do you know? I know you should never put age on a woman. I believe me. I've been kicked in the balls many times when I said that. When I said this question, how old do you think the actress who played Felicity was when filming season 2 of Arrow? How old do you think she was?
She looked to be 24, 25.
Oh damn, you were close. She was 23.
Oh, and how old was Oliver?
I forgot. He's in his mid 30s now, the actor. But no, what was ironic is that the actress for Lizzie just turned. Oh, she is 29 right now in 2020. Think about that. So
That's
6 years ago, she was only 23, 24 when shooting that season. Like, honestly, she looks so mature, so older for like a woman her age, and that's a compliment. But I was just completely shocked by that. I mean, again, we're really close to that age. I mean, you're 23. When yeah, you're 23. I'm 20. Wait, am I? You're 23, right? Did you turn 23?
Yeah, I'm turning 23 this November.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm older than you. I forgot because I always think everyone's older than me. So I forgot. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to forget your birthday. I just like I keep thinking like I'm old. You're older than me or something. I don't know. Um. So yeah. So rank the bad guy. Sal, do you think Slade is a better villain than Malcolm?
Absolutely, I think that it goes back to what I said about the mentor, the student fighting the mentor. I also think that Slade's just a way better fighter than Malcolm, and that's kind of shown to you throughout the entire season, like the entire first two seasons, really. Whereas Malcolm, he kind of comes out of nowhere as a fighter. So I think for that reason, Slade Wilson is, obviously, and I think Slade Wilson just a much better character.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for that reason, I think Slade would be the better villain.
Okay. No, I agree with you there. I think he does a much more better job being like a real worthy opponent where he was definitely set on getting his revenge on Oliver, and Malcolm was morally focused on trying to destroy the Glade. So it was a much more better, directorial, plan and conflict between the two. Let's say I think Slade is the better villain on that front. So far, number one, Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. Number two, Malcolm Merlin, the Dark Archer. Rank the season. Do you think is season 2 better than season 1, or do you think it's well, what do you think? Is it better than season 1 or what?
I definitely think season two is a lot, not a lot better, but I think the flashbacks, the intensity of the flashbacks definitely kick up, and the involvement of John Diggle, Thea, and Slade Wilson definitely gives season two the edge over season one.
Same. I think season 2 is the better season. I know everyone. I don't know what you're referring to, Sal, but when you were saying at the top of the show that people don't talk about season 2 that much, I honestly hear the reverse. Everyone I talk to, everyone talks more about Arrow season 2 and how great it is. Barely anyone talks about season 1. Having just rewatched these two being the freshest in my mind right now, yes, they're both great seasons. They're like, because this was the start of the show. They were both trying to start, the beginning of this journey. But I do believe season 2 did so much better with the characters, like having the stars be even more developed and just tapping into the ones that were kind of like not really touched upon in season 1, having to give them more to work with. As we're not setting up the show anymore. We have these characters. We're expanding the story, so now they can focus more on making these characters evolve and mature and get them to the next stage of their stories. And that's where season 2 succeeds, especially with the flashback, especially with the villains, and also having as well as another minor responsibility of like expanding the universe with the Flash down the line, which we'll see more about that next season and for more seasons to come. But I do believe, Arrow season 2 for now is better than season 1, so I would rank it above it.
Mm-hmm. So my computer's about to shut off.
Okay, so let's wrap this up quickly. So, with that being said, Sal, out of 5, whatever your rating score is, what do you rate Arrow season 2?
Probably 4 stars out of 5.
Okay. Again, guys, we're rushing this up because Sal's computer's about to die. He's on a laptop. I give this 2 thumbs up. The usual what's in the tube thermometer. And I think that is it for the Arrow season 2 stuff. So, if you were unaware of this, what's in the tube from ActionX reviewing the entirety of the Arrow series before Sal's computer dies about and before I do the rest of my rigmarole. Sal, pimp out your shit before I do my ending stuff.
So you can follow my sports podcast on Instagram, at Sports in the Big Apple. You can listen to it on Spotify, Google Podcast, and on Libsyn. So definitely check that out.
Links in the description.
It's definitely been a lot of fun being on the show. I look forward to finally watching season 3.
Oh, finally, yeah, man. I've been fucking waiting. I've been waiting, man. Will season 3 be as bad as I remember? Because I do not remember enjoying season 3 that well. Certain aspects of it.
I don't remember season 3 at all. So
we're going into this with a fresh stuff. So hopefully it will impress us, then depress us. So yeah, follow Sal on all those links. I'll link them in the description below, or follow him in his main handle that I will hopefully remind myself to put on the screen so I don't forget. So. In case Sal does cut off, let me do my usual ending rigmarole. So if you weren't aware, this has been What's in the Tube. If you want to know what we're doing overall, What's in the Tube, whatever. That's not our Arrow stuff. We are doing a Doctor Who every series review where me and George are reviewing every single Doctor Who series bi-weekly, every single Saturday. We will not be posting a new one this week. We're off this week. We're doing a quick impressions on Young Sheldon, so check that out. But we'll be back next week for that one. But we're going to be continuing that throughout the entirety of David Tennant's run, as well as Christopher Eccleston, which we just wrapped up recently. We're also doing quick impressions then and there to kind of like fill in the time slots, since Sal and I did schedule in breaks because Sal and I are very busy people. We have other stuff to do. But we're gonna do the show. Is like there's gonna be points in the Arrow run where we're gonna be taking some minor breaks to catch up on the episodes, so we don't like really stretch ourselves too thin, and we can still be able to do our own other independent projects. But however, if you only care about Arrow, then you're on luck. We'll be back next week with Arrow season 3, which again, like I just told Sal, I don't know if he's still here or not. Sal, are you still here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well I thought your computer died. That's why. Season 3. I don't remember that many good things from it, Sal. We're going into some really mystical shit next season. Will that pan out? I don't know. Also, we're going to China next season in the flashbacks. Will that turn out well? I don't remember. But yeah. But again, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube. If you want to see more of What's in the Tube, specifically our Arrow season reviews, please subscribe to ActionX on YouTube.com. Ring the bell for notification when the next season review is live. Like, favorite, share this review if you want to, but it does really help us out in the long run. It really does. As well as follow us on social media, our Twitter, or follow me on Twitch. We're going to start streaming there fairly soon. That's going to be a lot of fun. Again, follow Sal on everything on his feeds. Follow his podcast, Sports in the Big Apple again. Don't know where Sal is right now. I think he's cut off officially. Not sure.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
But like 2 seconds.
Okay. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. So for you arrowheads, be safe, be well. We'll see you guys next week on the season 3 review. But until then, peace out.
Thank you for listening.